silence my voice, you try to hold me down, but I'm still screaming out, I'm still screaming out. You try to silence my voice, you try to hold me down, but I'm still screaming out. You better pray.
I don't know what I'm going to do because when Joe's in there doing that, I don't know what my moral support is. You know how long it took me to pick out a shirt because I was trying to decide which shirt made me look less fat? Because I'm preaching in front of people today. So, yeah. I should have worn spandex. So actually, Spanx? Isn't that what cheerleaders wear?
Oh, yeah. It's what
women wear. It holds you know you're fresh.
It holds it. Alright, so I could just be up here and do that the whole time and be like, alright, thanks for coming to Rise Above. That'd be awesome. But anyways, I told Skip and Basilio that I really felt led to speak on leadership, mainly because there's been such a huge shift in the church right now. A lot of people that have been here for the past 8 to 11 years have gone a different direction. When stuff like that happens, there's always a big shift. Skip, who's been pastor for forever, is now bringing up Basilio to kind of take over things. And Basilio, who's been known as the guy that just does what everybody else doesn't want to do, is now becoming the head of the church. So basically, because of that, because we have more visitors, I believe it's really, well, not just visitors, but just more new people in general. It's important to talk about how do we respect our leaders, what should we expect of them, and what can we do for ourselves to be more efficient in the church so that we can become leaders as well. So first point I wanted to bring up is that there are specific times when God brings up certain types of leaders. First of all, one of the earliest stories in the Bible is the story of Moses when the Hebrews were in a time of slavery. They were just completely underneath the hand of the government or whatever. The Lord brought up Moses to actually bring them out of that. And he was a very specific type of leader where even though he was a very meek and humble man and he was very, slow of speech, he said the Lord was like, I'm using you and your personality and your purpose is to bring these people out of slavery. Another time, which actually came after Moses, was the time of Joshua, where the Lord actually used Joshua in conquest to where the Israelites or the Hebrews were brought out of slavery for a period of time under Moses. And then when Joshua came into the picture, it was just pure, straightforward conquest. We're going to take back this land that the Lord has set aside for us. We're going to make sure that everything that has been promised to us is now becoming ours. And then other times we would see as a time of defense, when times of there's the story of Jehoshaphat, the story of Gideon, and other people where the Hebrews are just chilling. They're just hanging out. And then all these other armies are like, we're going to beat those guys up, so let's all take all of our armies and stuff, and we're going to take those guys out. And the Lord will tap the prophet on the shoulder. It's like, hey, you know these guys are coming for you, right? So do what I say, and just defend yourselves, and you'll be all right. And so, basically, with each different season of life, the Lord has brought different types of leaders. Allie actually has a clip that I wanted to play just as we start this introduction into leadership. So,
was talking about our duty as soldiers.
Yes, sir.
We all have orders and we have to follow them. That supersedes everything, including your motives.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Even if you think the mission's food bar, sir?
Especially if you think the mission's food bar.
What's food bar? Well, it's German. Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Sir, I have an opinion on this matter.
Well, by all means, share it with the squad.
Over my way, thank you, sir. This entire mission is a serious misallocation of valuable military resources.
All right, go on.
Well, it seems to me, sir, that God gave me a special gift, made me a fine instrument of warfare.
Driving, pay attention now. This is the way to gripe. Continue, Jackson.
Well, what I mean by that, sir, is used to put me in this here sniper rifle anywhere up to and including 1 mile of Adolf Hitler with a clear line of sight, sir. Pack your bags, fellas. War's over. Amen. Oh, that's brilliant, Bumpkin.
Hey, so Captain, what about you? I mean, you don't gripe at all? I don't gripe to you, Ryman. I'm a captain. He's a chain of command. Gripes go up, not down. Always up. You gripe to me. I gripe to my superior officer, so on, so on, so on. I don't gripe to you. I don't gripe in front of you. You should know that as a ranger.
I'm sorry, sir, but let's say you weren't a captain, or maybe I was a major. What'd you say then?
Well, in that case, I'd say this is an excellent mission, sir, with an extremely valuable objective, sir. Worthy of my best efforts, sir. Moreover, I feel heartfelt sorrow for the mother of Private James Ryan, and willing to lay down my life and the lives of my men, especially you, Ryman, to ease her suffering.
He's good.
I love him.
Alright, so the point of that is that you hear that he says, gripes go up, they don't go down. I gripe to my superior officer, who goes to him, who goes to him. When you hear Basilio or Skip come up here and preach, the first thing they're not going to say is like, well, this is what sucks about being a leader in the church, and my life is in shambles because of this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Our leaders are actually meant to be pillars in our community that we can actually lean on when we need strength, because they're leaning on someone higher and higher until it goes up to the point where they're leaning on God. So, who has leaders? Pretty much everybody has leaders, but specifically in the Bible. I'm going to jump around a bit, so if you got your analog Bibles and want to follow me, that would be great. If you've got your digital Android or iPhone Bibles, that's cool too. But in 1 Peter 5 and 5, he says, likewise you who are younger and of lesser rank, be subject to the elders and the ministers and the spiritual guides of the church. Give them due respect and yield to their counsel. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility, and be stripped from your pride. For God has set himself against the proud. So pretty much that verse is saying is that, like, you know, of course, young people in the church, we have to look up to those who are older. Even though some of us have, like, great and mighty callings on our lives, we can't take that responsibility just purely on our own. We need to lean on the experience and the counsel of those who have come before us and those who have actually done things and experienced things we haven't even heard of yet. Another one is Hebrews 13:7. It says, obey your spiritual leaders and submit to them, continually recognizing their authority over you, for they are constantly keeping watch over your souls and guarding your spiritual welfare as men who will render an account of their trust. Do your part. Let them do this with gladness and not with sighing and groaning, for that would not be profitable to you either. So when you come to someone and you're complaining, like if I go to Skip and I'm like, this is just so hard, I'm having such a difficult time doing this, this, and this. When he responds to me, he's not going to be like, well, Drew, I know that sucks, but you want to know what really sucks? My life, because I got to go through this, this, and this, you know. So there are countless examples of just how we should respect our leaders, and how the leaders who are over us basically don't go down to our level to pretty much, instead of lifting us, they don't just like wallow in our self-pity with us. So that's one thing that we need to recognize as far as respecting them, and also recognize as far as we're going to be leaders, we can't constantly be going down to that level. Second is who's in charge. When we talked earlier about the story of Gideon, even though Gideon was technically the leader, Gideon was not in charge of what was going on. The Lord was in charge. Because earlier, Gideon had like up to thousands of men, and even though they had thousands of men, they were still outnumbered by the other army. And the Lord is like, well, just chop off this section right here, and these guys that do this, chop them out. And it got down to there was only like 300 people. And even though in his mind he was probably thinking, you know, I'd like to keep all those guys just in case something bad happens. You know, I want to trust the Lord, but it's so hard. But he actually did. He leaned on the Lord, and he knew that no matter like what his carnal mind was thinking, that as a leader, his main job was to listen to God. And when others might have come to him, because I mean, it doesn't tell like the dialogue of every day, but I'm pretty sure there are some guys that are coming up to him and was like, Gideon, we only have like 300 people left, and there's like 20,000 like Amorites. I'm not feeling comfortable with it, man. I'm not feeling good about it. Yeah. Also, in the story of Moses that we brought up earlier, the miracles and the plagues that happened, Moses was leaning upon God. And actually Aaron as well was leaning upon God when they were given instruction. When Joshua was going in to conquer certain places, he didn't always do it the same way as you would think, like let's just storm the gates with our swords and spears. And sometimes the Lord's like, hey, I want you to walk around it just a few times. Just walk around it, and eventually it'll just fall down. And as a leader, he had to tell everybody else, like, hey, guess what? So I know you guys are thinking we should probably take these guys out, but we're going to go for a jog around the city for about a week, and then the Lord says it's just going to fall down. And so yeah, and people were just like, oh, I don't know if I really like this guy right now. Moses was so much cooler than this guy. But yeah, as I said, gripes go up, they don't go down. You don't see these people in the Bible going down to, the level of other people like, the Lord told me that we only need 300 people, but I'm not really feeling it right now. So I think that we're going to actually keep an extra 1,000 in the background, just in case. And then if the Lord doesn't work out, then those days, no. They listen completely to the Spirit of the Lord. What's required of our leaders as far as, before they even get to the position? 1 Timothy 3 pretty much goes over all of it. A part of it, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's like super long. But a part of it says, the saying is true and irrefutable. If any man eagerly seeks the office of a bishop, overseer, superintendent, he desires an excellent work. Now a bishop must not give any grounds for accusation, but must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, circumspect, temperate, self-controlled. It lists all these things that if you're going to have a leader in the church, this man has to meet these standards. Because no matter how good of a person somebody is, they can't be led by their emotions. They can't be led by their lusts and their desires. They have to be completely led by the Spirit of the Lord. It's not to say that they're perfect, but it's to say that their priorities are right. Because no matter how perfect somebody wants to be, they will never be the Son of God. They will never be Jesus. But there are people that strive for the image of God. They strive to be as close as they can because they want to just please the Father. Next, another verse that backs that up is 1 Peter 5, 1-3. It says, I warn and counsel the elders among you, as a fellow leader and as an eyewitness of the sufferings of Christ, as well as a sharer in the glory, the honor, and splendor that is to be revealed. Tend to the flock of God that is your responsibility, not by coercion or constraint, but willingly, not dishonorably motivated by the advantages of profits, but eagerly and cheerfully, not domineering, being loving and compassionate. So it's giving an actual representation of what you are to do as a leader. What you're meant to do as far as the treatment of others, the fact that you're not supposed to be overtaken with the love of money by, even though some people are, we're not going to go into that. Some people know I have a little bit of a vengeance, or of a vendetta against certain people, or whatever. Yeah, it's righteous anger of the Lord against the misallocation of $67 million, but we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, sorry. Rabbit trail. When we skip rabbit trails, it's usually wisdom, and I'm rabbit trailing, and it's just vengeance. So one thing that I've noticed a lot in the church is that a lot of people are like, oh, I feel like I'm called of God. I am meant to go and do these great things. And the first thing that pops in their head is, I'm meant to be a pastor. Not everybody that's called of God is meant to be a pastor, even though, some people think it is a great and honorable thing to do. But if you're not a pastor, don't be a pastor. Don't put yourself in that position, because you will fail horribly. And you will not only hurt yourself, but you will hurt others around you. This is why it's important to seek the Lord in what office you're supposed to take. And if you're like, hey Andrew, what offices are there in the church that I can take? Well, let's take a trip to Ephesians 4 and 11, and I'll tell you just about those. It says, and his gifts were varied. He himself appointed and gave men to us. I'm using the Amplified version, by the way, which is, if you're a real biblical scholar, that's the Bible that you use. It's better than all the other Bibles by a long shot. I think by at least 2 to 3 sentences per verse. So anyways, his gifts were varied. He himself appointed and gave men to us, some to be apostles, which are special messengers, some to be prophets, who are inspired preachers and expounders, some evangelists, who are preachers of the gospel, traveling missionaries, and some pastors, not all pastors, shepherds of the flock, and teachers, men who actually dive into the Word and soak up all the knowledge that is in there, and then bring what they have to either the congregation or even to individuals. Because there are people out there that actually are able to dive in and be like, yo, the Hebrew root of this word actually means this. And if you actually know the Hebrew language, there is actually 5 different definitions of this. And if you find this definition right here, and they'll just go on and on and on. And you just have all this stuff like, whoa, I thought that just said to love people. But apparently it's a very specific type of love to a very specific type of people in a very specific time. Also, it continues, it says, his intention was the perfecting and the full equipping of the saints, his consecrated people, which means that we need every office in order to be one body. If you're in the military, you don't just grab your gun and head out. You have tons of gear that you've got with you. You've got grenades, you've got bullets. The gun's not even good without any bullets. Because you got your clothes, your boots, your everything. You got stuff you need to be prepared for any situation. If you have to, be stuck in a battlefield for like 2 to 3 days and you just have a gun, you're messed up. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. So the Lord wants us as the church to be fully equipped, to be fully ready for any situation. And those situations don't always have to be really intense, like, losing somebody or somebody being sick or somebody just being completely, there's everything. Being able to be there for somebody else. Being able to take care of yourself financially. What's interesting is that there are a ton of people like Dave Ramsey and all that actually have great money ministries. And a lot of people don't take advantage of that stuff because stewardship is overlooked by a lot of people. Stewardship is actually something very important when it comes to being a leader and when it comes to taking care of our leaders, which I'll actually get into in a second. Oh, it is the next note on my list. Anyways. So, then that brings the question, like, how, in what way are we responsible for our leaders? In 1 Thessalonians 5, 12 and 13, it says, now also we beseech you, brethren, to get to know those who labor among you, recognize them for who they are, and acknowledge and appreciate and respect them all. Your leaders who are over you in the Lord, and those who warn and kindly reprove or exhort you, and hold them in very high, most affectionate esteem, and intelligent and sympathetic appreciation of their work. Be at peace among yourselves. And 1 Timothy 5:17 it says, let the leaders who perform the duties of their office be considered doubly worthy of honor and of adequate financial support, especially those who labor faithfully in preaching and teaching. So it basically tells us that as a congregation, if we are to be a full body, be a community, be one, lifting up our leaders in whatever way we can is really important. Not everybody has extra money to throw in the pot as far as helping pay someone's bills or whatever. But one of the things that's grossly overlooked is the spiritual and emotional support of people who are in authority of the church. Pastor Skip talked about was it 2 or 3 years ago that Crush the Enemy went on tour, and he said that gig after gig after gig, he was meeting pastors who have been broken, who've been completely stripped of their office, who've been spiritually beaten down, because they had nowhere to go. When they were lifting others up, others just bailed out on them. And that really, really hurts. So lifting up our leaders as people, not just as people on a pedestal, but just as regular human beings, knowing that, if Basilio gets sick, he gets sick just like everybody else. It's not a special kind of sick that's reserved for the pastor that's less than what you guys experience. It's the same thing. And if Skip is in a car accident, it's the same kind of car accident that you get into. So we need to be able to support our leaders in a way that pretty much they're able to give back to us. Because they give so much to us is why we have to give back. It's a circle of gratitude and love and compassion. And so this brings me to another point. I feel like I'm going really fast right now. But anyways.
You're good.
You're good.
So, we've talked about what to expect from leaders, what to do to support them. But if I, as an individual, want to step up in the church, what do? How do I help out? Well, there's actually a story of a man that was given talents, or actually 3 servants who were given talents, and all 3 servants did different things with their talents. And the one that did well, he said, his master said to him, well done, you upright, honorable, and admirable, faithful servant. You have been faithful and trustworthy over a little bit, and so I will put you in charge of much. So basically that parable is telling the story of how this master left 3 servants with some money. 2 of them doubled their money, and 1 of them didn't do anything with it. And the ones that he saw that doubled their money, he said, very good job. I thank you so much for, while I was on vacation, while I was doing my thing, you guys actually put in the work to actually make more money for me. And so because of that, I'm going to give more back to you. I'm going to give you more of a position, give you more financial stability. And so the Lord says the same thing with us. Whether it's money, whether it's spiritual gifts, whether it's time, if we manage it properly, if we actually give back what we can, the Lord notices that. The Lord will acknowledge every time that you make a sacrifice for somebody else, because it's that important to Him. When He sees His children doing the same thing that He did, as far as the giving of yourself for somebody else, that is, for the most part, the fulfillment of the gospel. That Christ gave His Son, His life, His entire being to save us. And then what the least that we can do is to give back to others, to show that His love does not have any limits, does not have any bounds. But that when we take care of each other, we take care of those who are over us. That is just completely the fulfillment of the gospel over and over and over again as we give ourselves in a way that Christ gave His life for us. Hopefully it doesn't have to come to that. I mean, I don't want to die on the cross anytime soon. But, I mean, you know, if it comes down to that, who knows? So, pretty much, I was thinking a lot, just to be completely honest, I was thinking a lot about Skip's situation. I was thinking a lot about Basilio and his coming up. And I mainly just felt so much, I guess you would say sympathy or empathy for both of them. Because this is a time when usually you want to look to your best friend and say, I need your help so bad. And as much as Skip loves all of us here, most of us here haven't been in Skip's life longer than maybe 5 years or so. And so we need to be there for Basilio, for Skip, for everybody else as much as we can. Because some people have left that meant a lot. And some people, you know, it's not to say that we can't support them. They have just as much of a mission and calling on their lives as Basilio or anyone else.
Yes.
But the thing is that in this church, in this community, we're meant to take care of each other.
Amen.
We're meant to love each other. And I really don't have too much more than that. I mean, I wrote down a crap load of stuff and I went through it really fast.
You are a wise man.
But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to me.
Didn't he just do an outstanding job? I'm proud of him because he's my little baby boy.